My name is Stella Patterson. I hope you can hear me okay. And I am the Deputy Chief over Patrol Services here at CMPD, which includes our 13 patrol divisions as well as our airport division. I'm very pleased to also introduce two exceptional community leaders who are also here with me. Mr. Darren Ash, who is the Executive Director of Rock Charlotte here in Charlotte, and also to Ms. Evelyn Minter. She is a member of the Heather Glen Community Watch, and she is also a member of our Freedom Division Advisory Council. I'm so thankful to have both of them here with us, and they're going to talk to you about some of the important and needful work that they are doing in the community. I will yield to them in just a little bit to talk about the efforts that they are doing. This morning, I'd like to provide some of the crime stats for the first quarter of 2021. But first, I want to remind everybody that is listening to us today that at the conclusion of this briefing, all the crime data that I give you will be available on all of our social media channels. Also, too, for those who are listening, I encourage you, if you haven't already, to download our My CMPD app so that you can have up-to-date information about what is going on at CMPD and within your neighborhood as well. So I'm always excited to talk about the tremendous work that our men and women at CMPD are doing to impact crime in a positive way. Our officers as well as our support staff are really just doing a great job of trying to make our community safe. They are tirelessly working around the clock. A lot of our officers are here, some of our coordinators from the Freedom Division. I commend you for the work that you are doing. For the first quarter of the year, I am pleased to announce that we ended with a 16% decrease in overall crime compared to first quarter of 2020. Our property crime dropped by 19%, which we have seen a steady decrease or a trend of decrease in our property crimes since second quarter of last year. There were 218 fewer homes that were broken into through the first quarter, which amounts to a 33% drop in residential burglaries. Also, too, our commercial burglaries. Our burglaries of business are down by 17%. There was also 371 fewer cars that were broken into, which represents a 15% decrease in larcenies from autos that were reported. Our total larceny cases are down 20%. That is a huge deal for us here at CMPD. Now, we did see a 5% jump or increase in our theft cases, which is a bit concerning to us. Much of this can be attributed to cars left running in apartment complexes and also at private residents. We continue to talk to the community about that, to educate the community about leaving cars running, even for a short period of time. We can see where those cars can be taken very quickly. So we want to continue to put that information out. Turning to violent crime, although we did see a modest increase of almost 1% in violent crime for the first quarter, we are in no way satisfied that any member of our community is victimized by violent crime. It is unacceptable to me to see that, and I know it is to you as well. We had 22 homicides reported compared to 25 for the quarter, resulting in a 12% decrease. Today we stand at 25 homicides year to date with a clearance rate of 40%. And we are expecting that that clearance rate will go up by the great work that our detectives and investigators are doing with cases. Although there were 152 fewer robberies reported through the first quarter, and our robbery clearance rate is around 70%, which is twice the national average, we did experience an increase in gun crimes. Gun cases are up 7% across the board. There were 400 assault with deadly weapon cases reported, which is an increase of 33%. And 186 dwellings were shot into during the quarter. Now, many of you have heard us talk extensively about Chief Jennings' Core 4. And one of the priorities of the Core 4 is crime management. It is a critical element for us to reduce the violent crime. When we continue to experience these surges in crime like this, senseless gun violence, I believe that it's CMPD's responsibility to make sure that we're using all the tools we can and that we're throwing every tool we can to reduce that crime number. Due to the increase in crime and violent crime involving firearms, we made the decision earlier in the year to form a team that would focus exclusively and completely on gun crimes. Detectives from our gang unit, our trap unit, our SIOP task force were all merged together to create the department's crime gun suppression team. And we have talked to you about this unit. What I love about the concept of bringing all these units together is that we have the opportunity to have a lot of very experienced detectives working together immediately to use their experience to really target offenders who are committing gun crimes. We have made substantial progress already with this unit. Even though the team has only been together for a short time, through the first quarter they seized 24 guns and they made 33 arrests. The unit's priority is to stop gun violence between groups by tracking the guns associated with a crime. A lot of that tracking really involves us working closely with our crime reduction units in our patrol divisions as well as our crime lab. Now, of course, we will continue to identify initiatives and strategies and different operations to reduce and prevent violent crime, but we certainly cannot do it alone. Community safety is a collective endeavor, and it is encouraging to see the community step up as they have during the first quarter. We had more than 800 anonymous tips that came through our Crime Stoppers, and as a result of that, we made 43 arrests. I don't think that I can stress it enough to the community. If you're listening to me today, if you see something, please say something. All of us have to do our part ensuring that we get the crime numbers down. Now, with summer rapidly approaching, we know that our youth and our young people are going to be out and about. We know they're going to be out of school, which then means more opportunities for them to get in trouble. And all of us who have young children, we know that sometimes they make poor decisions. We know that they can run with the wrong group that might end up in bad incidents. So one of our community leaders that's joining me today is Darren Ash. As I stated earlier, he is the executive director for Rock Charlotte, and he works with at-risk youth in our community through his organization. And I'm going to ask Darren if he will come up and tell us a little bit about what he is doing and the initiatives that he is taking to help keep our youth engaged, particularly through the summer and also through the year. So Darren, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Patterson. When I saw her this morning on such a beautiful day, I was reminded at the contrast when she and I saw each other about 6 months ago at the Orchard Trace apartment complex, mourning the death of one of our Rock students who had been shot. And here we are on a beautiful day with new hope for this summer. Also want to recognize Lieutenant Evans. He's on our Rock board, and all the cadets that really kind of make a lot of our partnership work. We are just so blessed to have such a rich and deep partnership with CMPD, and we're so looking forward to the possibilities of this summer. The Rock is a construction skills training and mentorship program. We serve high school students from across the street at West Meck, Harding, Philip O'Berry on the west side, and Vance Chambers, the Hidden Valley neighborhood, and the CMPD REACH program at our campus located at I-85 in Sugar Creek. Our west side campus is located off of Freedom Drive. We have been fully and safely in person since the start of COVID. We took April off, but as they say, you cannot teach construction skills training virtually. So I do have to recognize one of my instructors is here, Instructor Crump, and Hartley, my program officer. They are part of a bigger group that was very bold and courageous to say we will make in-person construction training happen. We're not only training these kids valuable construction skills in carpentry, in electrical, in HVAC, but we're also bringing out their best as a responsible and valued young adult. And our kids are thriving. They are completing their associate's degree in construction at Central Piedmont Community College. They're obtaining industry certificates. They're getting paid $15 an hour this summer as apprentices, and they're being placed in permanent jobs with major construction companies all around this city. There's two types of students in our school system: active learners and passive learners. We're attracting the active learners that learn by doing. They basically kind of see the positive and negative of each action they take, and then they adjust their behavior and their learning. Unfortunately, our school system caters more to the passive learners, where you have a teacher lecturing to them. We are convincing our active learners that they are just as much of a genius than those kids that can memorize a book. And I think that's important as we work with this new generation of active learners and bring out their best self. I'll wrap up and say that we are going very deep with CMPD this summer. We're expanding our program to the Turning Point Academy to include kids in that. We believe that engaging these kids over the summer, activating their active minds, whether they're building, they're exposed to really cool industry mentors. We're going to have a big time this summer, and we're blessed to be part of the CMPD family. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Darren, for that information. The work that he is doing in the community is very needful. If you know of any youth that could learn a trade or who needs to work on an apprenticeship, we really encourage you to get in touch with our community engagement unit so that we can get those youth actively involved in this program. I think it'll help us overall with our crime reductions. Also, too, I would like to give an opportunity for Miss Evelyn Minter. She is well known to the Freedom Division. She is on the Crime Watch in her community of Heather Glen. She visited one of our CoreStat sessions that we had, and you might be wondering, what is CoreStat? CoreStat is a meeting that we do bi-monthly where our officers and our leadership within our police divisions come and talk about what CMPD is doing. And we also invite our community members to come, and we're going to invite the media soon to be a part of that as well, where they get to talk about everything that is going on in CMPD so that the community is engaged. So Ms. Mentor was one of our guests, one of our community members. She is doing some outstanding work in the community, so I asked her today if she would come and just share some of that information with the community, what she is doing. So at this time, Ms. Mentor, if you'll come forward.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Evelyn Minter. I live in the Heather Glen, which is a community on the west side. I live on the west side and have lived here for more than 20 years, and I live here by choice. Some people say, you know, you live on the west side. Yes, I love the west side. The west side is the best side. I also am the president of the Freedom Division Advisory Council. That's a citizens advisory group. We work very closely with CMPD. We have a strong partnership. And I need to shout out to the CMPD Freedom Division. They are the best officers, and I can attest to that. So if you would just, hey, that's right. So the Freedom Division Advisory Council, our goal is to organize neighborhoods and neighborhood leaders so that we have, everyone has an opportunity to live in a safe, viable community. We have other community partners that we work with. We have business leaders, businesses that we work with as well. Amazon being one of them. We are partnering with the churches. In October of 2020, we had about 8 churches in the Freedom, CMPD Freedom Division, and we had a meeting with the churches because we believe that part of the solution to our problems is partnerships, and we think that the churches have a viable role in this community. If any businesses are here and they're interested in joining the CMPD Freedom Advisory Council, please see me afterwards. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mentor, for that. As I'm looking around, I also see one of our guests here. I'm not going to call him out on the spot, but I just want to recognize Mr. Gary Crump. He is doing a lot of work on the I-85 Sugar Creek corridor. We know that's one of our corridors of opportunity. He also is working with our young adults, teaching them trades, And he has partnered with Mr. Ash to do that. So Gary, I see you over there. Thank you for being here today. And so we were very intentional when we selected this location to do this press briefing today. It is in the heart of Freedom Division. You've heard a lot about our Freedom officers. They are doing a tremendous job with the work, and we wanted to be able, of course, to showcase that through our community leaders and also just to let you know what the crime is in Charlotte in the first quarter of 2021. So at this time, we thank you all for joining us, and we will entertain any questions that you may have of Mr. Ash, Ms. Minter, or myself. I don't have the exact numbers on that. What we have seen consistently, though, is that our gun crimes are usually committed by individuals around the ages of 18 up to 24. And that's disturbing to us because those are young adults, individuals who have a rich life in front of them, but once they get into the criminal justice system, then that could be problematic. So if we can have programs that really address that age group and even younger, because of course they are seeing the younger population is seeing the older ones engage in that activity. So we want to curb that as much as we can. Well, we believe that guns they're everywhere in the society, of course. Many of the guns are stolen from people leaving them in cars. They're stolen from burglaries at home. We always encourage everybody to make sure that your guns are secure so that they are not stolen. Yes, ma'am. Yes, and so part of the program, and Darren, you can come on up to kind of address that, is his program doesn't focus just primarily on young people, but there are young adults as well. And I pointed out Mr. Crump, same thing with his, looking at individuals in their 20s, early 20s, even into their 30s. At any time, if you can learn a trade or an apprenticeship, I think it's an advantage. And Darren, if you want to talk a little bit more to that.
Yes, I would say, again, bringing the construction trades to a 16, 17, 18-year-old is a different process than young adults. So we focus almost exclusively on the high school students, but then you have Goodwill Industries and Urban League that are running classes at night for young adults. And in some cases, they're getting paid $15 an hour stipends, for instance, for HVAC training.
There is a concern. We typically see, as the weather starts to warm up, there's an increase in violence all around. That's why we were very preemptive in putting together our crime gun unit to really focus in on that violent crime. It is our desire that we can really identify those individuals early who are committing these crimes and that we can get them out of the community so that they don't cause further harm or injury. We put our team together in January. Their full rollout was February, March timeframe. All right, thank you so much for being here. We'll be available on the site if you have any other additional questions that you want to ask of us. Thank you all.